The official college football playoff bracket was released this morning on Selection Sunday, and we weren't able to hop into a YouTube video as soon as it happened, but we're hopping into one right now. I'm Wood Talk Sports here talking about how the committee made the best decision for college football's playoff this year, and leaving Notre Dame out was the best choice for this playoff in particular. Having Alabama and Miami be those two teams to make that 9 and 10 spot was the right choice. As much as Notre Dame fans might hate to hear that, it was the right choice, as Alabama did just get blown out in their conference championship game, but I find it hard to believe they're going to punish them. I had put that in my post that I made. I actually thought Notre Dame would probably be put ninth by the committee, hoping that Miami would make it over one of those teams. And, well, Miami made it over one of those teams. They're the number 10 seed. They will be facing off against Texas A&M. That'll be a fun game to watch. That's going to be on December 20th. But Alabama doesn't move at all in the rankings. Very interesting to see. I would have expected them to move to 10, but here is the reasoning why I think they stayed at 9. I think Bama stayed at 9 because then if you move Bama back down to 10, it's kind of hard to argue putting Miami up that many spots when, even though Miami has the head-to-head over Notre Dame, which is the reasoning why they made the college football playoff over Notre Dame, Notre Dame was number 10. You move Alabama back one, that makes it so you have to kind of justify dropping Notre Dame almost basically 2 spots, because if Bama is going to lose, Notre Dame would kind of push on to that 9-1 most people would expect if Bama is to drop. But then you gotta justify them dropping from 9 to 11 just like they just did, instead of 10 to 11, which they really did. And Miami actually jumping up from 12 to 10. But, I mean, looking at these teams, I didn't expect Bama to miss the playoffs despite getting blown out by Georgia. And it's almost as if the committee just now realized, hey, Miami did beat Notre Dame. Or maybe they were just kind of messing with us the whole year. Because to see Miami behind Notre Dame for so long this year, every single CFP ranking, Notre Dame ahead Miami, same exact record through most of the season, finishing the season both 10-2. And then all of a sudden on Selection Sunday, Miami jumps Notre Dame. It's almost as if they finally realized, hey, wait, Miami just beat Notre Dame. They beat Notre Dame at the beginning of the season. We're just now realizing this. And so they jumped them. But I also think that the committee didn't want to leave out the ACC conference. Obviously, Duke winning the conference did not have a chance at making the playoff one bit as a 5-loss team. That wasn't going to happen. And I think it sends a message to Notre Dame. I think this is something that you look at. And so we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but I do want to start off with the resumes that we looked at yesterday between Miami, Alabama, Notre Dame. And so according to CFP resume ranks, this is a great X account, by the way. If you love college football, I'd be telling you to go look at this, and my monitor's over here, so Notre Dame was technically their highest strength team with the second best resume. Obviously, this is the Alabama pre-Georgia loss. So you look at each team's best win. Miami's best win is against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's best win is against a USC team. And then Alabama's best win, of course, is against Georgia. But here is my reasoning for Alabama staying in. They have struggled a little bit in the last, they haven't beaten a ranked team since they played Tennessee. And so that's a big eye-opener for everybody. But beating Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee in a row, all 4 of those games, very impressive on a resume. I don't care that you lost 3 games. Your third loss came in a conference championship game. You should not be punished and sent out of your playoff spot, especially where they were. If they were 10 and on that line already, which they probably should have been. I don't know why they jumped Notre Dame for beating Auburn. They might have lost their spot, but it makes sense to keep Alabama in because at the end of the day, you want the best teams possible. I think Bama still is the best team out of those three teams, and so that's my reasoning for Alabama. Great wins. The worst loss out of all of these three teams, however, with the Florida State loss. The Oklahoma loss, I'm not going to down on them too much because Oklahoma's a great team and it was a close game. But now you look at Notre Dame. Losses to Miami and A&M. The best losses, I guess you say, the most quality losses, 2 quality losses on their schedule. And that best win coming against USC. But other than USC, I mean, Pitt's a pretty decent team. Not a very impressive schedule. And you might be saying, well, you can't say that because Miami's got a very similar schedule, which is true. Miami does have a very similar schedule, as you see here. Their best win, other than Notre Dame, is probably going to be Pittsburgh, USF. And so still, not the greatest, but losses to Louisville, SMU, I'd say the worst overall losses out of these three teams. Obviously, 2 unranked squads. 2 8-4 teams, which I still think people are kind of downplaying an 8-4 team in the ACC. Yes, the ACC has kind of gone down a little bit in competition and skill, I guess you could say. But at the end of the day, Notre Dame, Miami, you're both 10-2. You got to look at head-to-head. That's the first thing that should come to your mind. Especially when their resumes are so close like the way they are. You see the raw resume ranks that this person got. Miami 11, Notre Dame 13. And then you even look at the College Football Playoff Index, which I'll pull up here. So, right here. You see your 3 teams a little bit in the middle of the screen here. It's going to be Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami. Alabama, the 10th strength of record, despite being 10-3. It's because they've got very, very valuable wins. Notre Dame, 13th, just above of Miami, because their only losses are to very good teams, to 2 playoff teams, may I add now. So that is something to look at. 13-14 for Miami. However, strength of schedule, just about the same, 44-45. When you're that close in skill, competition, resume, every single bit of the game, you can't just look at pure numbers and pure stats and say, this team does this thing better. You have to look when there is a head-to-head. And you have to say, okay, they are so similar resume-wise. They played each other in week 1. Who cares if it's week 1? It doesn't matter if it came at a beginning early in the season. Jeremiah Love, who is arguably going to be winning the Heisman, in my opinion, should be one of the most qualified for the Heisman Trophy this year. He had 33 yards against that Miami team. And it was a close game. But you listen to what Nick Saban said on TV on Saturday. I believe it was Saturday. Miami kicked the crap out of Notre Dame in the trenches. They were stronger than them. They were more aggressive than them. They wanted it more. And it was a close game, but Miami just beat them in the trenches. And that's how you win games. They were just the more violent team, you could say. And so that's what puts Miami over Notre Dame in this situation. I think Alabama, yes, I understand Alabama probably could have dropped out of the playoffs and you could have Miami and Notre Dame. That would have made a lot of sense. But Alabama's resume is unbelievably better. It's so unbelievably better than these other 2 teams. Despite having 1 extra loss, they played in their conference championship. The other 2 teams didn't. They have a much better strength of schedule that they have to face. The other teams, they're in the 40s. Bama has 4 ranked wins. I believe it's 4. 4 ranked wins. Miami has 1. Notre Dame has 1. Or 2. Both teams have 2, I guess. I believe Pitt was ranked when they played both of those teams. Bama's resume matches and excels over these 2. Notre Dame and Miami's resumes match. Miami beat Notre Dame. It's as simple as that. And our thing about Alabama is they went out and beat Georgia at the beginning of the season. Yes, once again. But the whole thing was, oh, well, it was a long time ago. That was the whole reason why Notre Dame was above Miami for a while. Oh, well, it's a whole time ago. If they were to play now, Notre Dame would beat Miami. Then what's the point of playing in week 1? There's games in the beginning of the season for a reason. There's games at the beginning of the season for a reason. Like when Texas fans are saying, oh, well, we shouldn't schedule Ohio State. What if we shouldn't have scheduled Ohio State at the beginning of the year? We'd be in the playoff. Well, Notre Dame's now saying something like that probably. Oh, if we didn't schedule Miami. Like, at the end of the day, you got to win your games. There's games from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. What you do at the end of the season does not matter if you didn't do the same in the beginning of the season. And Bama, they started off terribly too. They lost to Florida State. But you know what they did throughout the season? They had good wins. Georgia, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Missouri. Those were good wins. And Notre Dame doesn't have a schedule to legitimize, or, you know, what I'm trying to say here, to come back from an 0-2 record and beat good enough teams and make their record look legit enough to say, hey, they started 0-2, but it's fine because they're one of the best teams in the country because they're going out there. Yes, they're beating the crap out of teams that they're playing, but they're not great teams. They're not going out there and they're not competing against really, really good teams like Alabama did and winning those games. Miami doing the same thing. They're beating the crap out of ACC teams. People look at it, oh, well, it's really not that great. Well, you know what Miami did? They started off the season great. They had a little bit of a bad middle part of the season. And they finished with the same record as Notre Dame, who lost to Miami. Right there. That's all. That's the last thing. End of discussion. Alabama, Miami are your 2 playoffs teams. Those are the 2 teams that deserve those spots. Now, we're going to look at the bracket here. We're going to have a bracket, my picks and everything. I just want to talk about how JMU, 12, right? Great decision. Best decision to make with that 5th conference championship spot, putting them over Duke. I would have lost my mind if they put Duke in the playoff. However, people are saying now, it's the conference bid shouldn't be a thing, blah, blah, blah. The whole reason that there was a playoff in the first place is to give Group of 5 teams a chance. However, I don't think these games will be very good. It is disappointing that you won't get to see teams like Texas, Notre Dame, BYU, Vanderbilt in this playoff because they are better. They are the better teams. But at the end of the day, my big thing about Notre Dame, and for Notre Dame fans, I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from on this. The College Football Playoff Committee, you know what they said to Notre Dame today? You want to make the playoff with a 10-2 record? Join a conference. That's what they just said to Notre Dame, basically. Join a conference. Because you being able to schedule make your own schedule and basically play a glorified ACC schedule, but have no chance of playing in an ACC championship and getting yourself a free bid if you want to be in the playoffs when you're this good and not get snubbed out, join a conference. And Notre Dame needs to join a conference. I understand the monetary reason and the value of being an independent, but you're in a conference in every other sport. You're in the ACC. Join the ACC. Join the Big Ten. They are in the heart of the Big Ten. They should join the Big Ten. They won't. Then join the ACC. You can win the ACC. They would have been playing for an ACC championship most likely. They wouldn't have lost any other games in the ACC. Join the conference. Go win the conference. You'd be in the playoffs right now over JMU. Same with Virginia. You lost your conference championship. You'd be in the conference if you win your conference championship. It's that simple. That's the whole point of these conference championship bids. I bet you nobody expected 2 Group of 5 teams this year at all. In Notre Dame's, in their fans, I've heard a lot of people saying, Texas fans too, everything like that. Well, we're better than these teams. Okay. Well, you didn't prove to the rest of us that you're better than a lot of the other teams in your conference, or that you didn't prove to us that you can win a conference because you're not in a conference. And as stupid as that kind of sounds, because it does sound a little dumb, that's just how the college football playoff tournament is right now. That's how the playoff bracket and the playoff tournament and how the seeding is right now. Your 5 best conference champs are going to make it, and your 5th best conference champ this year was James Madison. That's going to be it for this video. What did you guys think about the Selection Sunday? As you can tell by the title of this video and this entire video, they did a good job. They did the best thing for college football by putting Alabama and Miami in. And what are your guys' picks for the playoff? Tell me who your national champion is right now in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you keep coming back to my stuff, or this is the first video you've watched of mine and you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. It's free for you guys. And the road to 1K. It's a long road, but we'll make it there. And I can really use your support. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this one. And we'll be back soon with our next video, which will likely be either predicting what I think the playoffs how they will pan out, or maybe a next mock draft coming soon. You know, we're getting towards the end of the regular season in the NFL, and we're getting into the playoff time in the college football landscape, of course. So that's what we'll end off with here. And hope you guys enjoyed. Once more, I'll say it again. Yeah, I say it quite a bit, but I really hope you guys do, because this is something that's I'm very passionate about, and I want to make it a great viewer experience for you guys. So, peace out.